What's going on, y'all? James Hicks here with Hicks New Media and Infotainment News. I'm here as always with my man Corey Tallboy Sanders. It is another edition of the lab. Tallboy, how you living today, brother?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you? I know you guys are up in California, and I know those fires are they're going crazy, shall we say?
Yeah.
And I talked to some friends today, and they said that they had to evacuate, and I just wanted to check on you and see how you're doing.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. Yeah, we unfortunately did have a devastating loss for my extended family. We did lose our property up in the Lake Oroville area in Lake Madrone. So I wanted to give that little shout out to all the firefighters that are out there saving lives, saving properties, risking their lives and things of that nature. So definitely want to give shouts out to that. And it's just stuff, right? That's kind of what I'm telling my kids. We will rebuild, we will move forward, but we still have the memories, and we will continue to make some new ones. Along that line, we've got a fantastic show tonight, right? We've got some folks.
Before you do that,
oh, see, there you go. You're gonna start. See, now they sitting in the back of the room right now, saying these folks is acting a fool.
And I respect it, but I mean,
Yeah.
How are you doing? I mean, I know you got kids, I know you got a wife, but what about you? How are you handling this situation?
All right, bro. Look. This we not.
I don't want to have a teary-eyed moment.
Yeah, we may just have that, and I'm trying to avoid that. That's why I got me a little shot of scotch right here next to me. So, but I'm hanging. All that matters is that family's okay, and that everyone is safe. That's what matters to me. So those are my priorities.
Right. That's what's up. Well,
all right.
My prayers are going to be with you, and you're going to get through this show, and we're going to continue to talk tech and make it do what it do. So I don't know where your scotch is, but
you got pull out the Minute Maid. Pull out the. Our guests are never going to come back again. Look, I'm sitting here crying. I'm drinking scotch. You got Minute Maid. Let's get right into it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some of Atlanta's finest technologists sitting behind the scenes with us. They are the hosts of the SnobOS podcast. They are engineers and system administrators in their own rights, so they know what they're talking about. They have a very intriguing and engaging show. Let us bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. Nica Montfort and Terrance Gaines. We've got the Tech Savvy Diva and Brother Tech. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
All right. See, I try to bring you on like Steve Harvey, but I'm not as close. But I'm trying to get there.
One thing that I like about them, they came Nica, I'm kind of worried, but Brother Tech, he came on crispy with that HD quality camera.
Oh goodness, there you go.
I'm loving it. He got that cap. I want to know what you're using. Are you using a capture card and a Sony? Or are you using a webcam?
Man, I'm using a basic Logitech HD webcam.
Really? The C922?
I think so. That's what one it is. It's the HD version, but it probably comes from I doing all this trial and error trying to get our podcast straight.
Okay.
And I ended up paying for gig internet, so that's probably half of the reason I went ahead and bumped up to the gig internet because, like I said, we've been trying to get the SnobOS podcast to do video for like the past month and a half, and the first couple goes at it was rough, and I want to make sure that I was holding up my end of the bargain, my weight. I didn't want to.
No, it's 50-50. You want to make sure you was right, but see, Nica, I'm sorry off the get go. The man had already said that your video was choppy.
No, it was mine. It was mine. That's why I paid for the extra internet.
Nica, what you working with over there? What you working with?
Oh my gosh, you got AOL dialogue. There you go.
I'm using Logitech C922X camera. And like Terrance was mentioning, we tried a couple of different things because I didn't have an actual external webcam. I just used what was built in on my Mac. But I do have I have a Canon EOS camera.
Okay.
And so we went through a couple iterations with that because you can now use your camera as a webcam. So we tried that. Now the image was great, but the issue is there's a web utility that Canon has, and it's a beta. So it didn't necessarily work with Skype, the native Skype app. You had to use only the web version of Skype for it to work. So then there was that issue. And then I tried some OBS. I went down the whole YouTube rabbit hole because I had OBS. I had all these capture applications that were feeding into the camera for the output. It was a pretty wild time, but I ended up having to order just the Logitech camera, but it took like 2.5 weeks to get here because it was such a back order, because everybody, now that we're all, home, well, most of us are home, everybody was using webcams, and so the supply, I looked locally, I looked online, I just couldn't find one anywhere. So I just ended up having to just order and just wait until it got here. And I borrowed a friend's in the meantime until my phone arrived. So
now let me ask you,
it was a journey.
Did you have to, so I got caught up in some of that too. I've done a lot of experimenting with cameras. Did you have to pay above what it normally costs?
Yes, I ended up paying like maybe almost 50% more.
Yeah. So I got the
not to say the webcam that I have is normally like 99. I ended up paying like 150, 160 for it.
Yeah. I got caught up in that too, so I upgraded to the Logitech StreamCam. So I'm going out at 1080p, but it's normally 169, and hopefully my wife isn't watching and listening right now. But yeah, I paid a little over 200 for it to get it here during the midst of COVID, because got it from New York. There was only 3, so they say, that were available, and now they're back on the Logitech website at the regular 169 price. But that's a shame that they do us like that, especially in times of need.
Yeah. Supply and demand. They needed the supply.
Just speak real quick, because we're talking tech. I know you say you're using this as a web utility, but what about using your Canon EOS R and using a capture card? Were you able to get a capture card, or they were just out of stock?
No, they were out of stock. I was really just trying to piecemeal it together to use what I had. Even at one point, I have a GoPro. So at one point, I was trying to get the GoPro to work. So I was, like I said, I was really down the rabbit hole, and I was pulling out all the tech that I had to try and get it to work. And we just had, like Terrance mentioned earlier, we just had so many issues at the origin of switching to doing the video streaming, that I was like, let me just go old school and borrow a friend's webcam until I can get one shipped. So it was a lot of trial and error, lots of error.
Before we go further, let's back up a little bit and tell our audience who you are with the SnobOS podcast. All right, I mean, because that's an interesting name, and it's a name that those of us in the cult of Mac will understand. I will say that, but let me let the host talk about that themselves. Which one are you going to talk, Terrance? You or Nica?
Well, I can start. So we met through my wife, actually. I am a techie, and I always involve my wife in all the tech stuff, and she could care less, right? So, for example, when, let's just say next week,
even though she is an engineer,
even though she's an engineer, even though she's quality assurance, all that good, test developer, all that good stuff, she could care less about consumer tech, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, fast forward to next Tuesday, Apple has an announcement where they're going to launch some products. Well, during the day, I would be on my computer, trying to watch the show. And then when she would come home from work, I would say, hey, we got Apple launched a new this, they launched a new that, they did this, they did that. She could care less, right? Yeah. But while she was at work, she would have a coworker who would be watching the show at work and be telling her, well, Apple did this, Apple did that, so on and so forth. So she would get it at work from a coworker, and then she would come home and get it from me, right? So finally she said, look, y'all need to meet, because y'all need to move me out of the middle. I feel like I'm the middleman. So remove me out of the middle. y'all two get together and talk about your little Apple stuff together. Leave me out of it. So she did that for like a year or two, telling us, yo, you know what y'all need
almost
to do?
2 years.
Almost 2 years. Y'all need to start a podcast. So finally, we relented and we linked up. And about a year ago, over a year, about a
it's
year
like
ago,
a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah. We finally.
No, it's almost 2.
Yeah,
it's
almost 2.
Terrance, because we did. Yeah, it's almost 2.
Yes, because we just recorded like episode 90 something, and we do once a week. So that's how we got together. Finally decided to come up with a podcast, and since we are Apple fans, we're kind of Apple snobs. So that's how we named it SnobOS, because like James said, in the Apple community, all of their major operating systems are, iOS for, iPhone and iPad, Mac OS for the Macs, TV OS for television, Watch OS for the watches. So since we're snobs, we're in the Apple, we named the podcast SnobOS. So we're the we're the operating system for Apple snobs. So that's kind of the title.
So makes sense to me. And I will flash back, because you and I, Terrance, kind of hooked up online back many years ago when I was writing for not just my site, the Tech Scoop back in the day, but I was writing for a site called Macgasm. I did a couple of posts for The Verge as well, and I think we connected on Twitter. And I don't think I ever told you, but I actually worked at Apple for 8 years.
Okay, all right.
And I have the fortune of having a elevator one-on-one with Steve Jobs.
Oh, wow. So I did not know that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow.
And folks within Apple back in those days, if you ever, there was always the mystery that if you get caught in the elevator with Steve, he'll ask you what you do for the company. If he doesn't like what you're doing, he may end up firing you on your way down. Mine was different because it wasn't actually in the elevator. I had taken my team from Northern California down to Cupertino to give a tour of Infinite Loop. As I'm walking out of the building to take my team to the company store, he's walking in. I don't see the dude, right? He's a little bit shorter than I am. I damn near knocked a man down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So let me tell you something. The heart gets to fluttering. I'm saying, oh my gosh, I didn't hurt the man, or I'm gonna be escorted off the facility. But we looked at each other. We gave each other a little point, and like, you all right? He was like, all right. And everything was cool. But that is my claim to fame from Apple, that I almost knocked over Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And that plaque on the wall right there is actually my AMP, my Apple Management Program certificate, because when I was managing the teams there, I had to go through the entire leadership team of Apple and do presentations, talk about product scenarios and things of that nature. So that's why I think I resonate with you guys so much, and we just leaving Tallboy out of it, because it just makes sense that you just work with iOS, because that's just the way to go. I'm sorry, it's just so easy. It works, and
done a show on this.
We have done a show, but now it's 3 against 1, and we got a major announcement coming on the 15th. And
understand that Android is far more superior.
Oh my god!
Based off of the things that we talked about. And
Nica, get him.
You agree, and you agree. We need to find the tape and roll it back.
We don't have to do that. We will move on. We will move on. So I wanted to give that context, and I appreciate you for telling us who the SnobOS podcast is. And again, love the fact that you now have gone to add in video as well. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the technology that you're using. But to start off with, we were talking about the 15th. Apple is doing a major announcement. Historically, look, even when I was inside the company, people will ask me what's coming out. We don't know. Look, nobody knows. Schiller probably doesn't know until the last minute. It's so locked down, and it's so tight. But we can presume, right, that there's going to be a couple of more devices. Nica, what do you think is going to be on the list for the 15th?
I definitely think a new iPad is coming. I definitely think a new Apple Watch is coming. And possibly a new laptop. We did a show where we talked about Apple essentially coming up with their own processor. So it'll be not an Intel-based laptop, but a silicon-based, what they're calling Apple Silicon-based. So I'm assuming we may see something to that effect as well. There have been lots of rumors. We've covered some of them on our show where there could be some over-the-ear headphones. Where we've been calling them AirPod Pros, and not AirPod Pros,
Studio.
AirPod Studio. Studio. So it's going to be interesting because there's been, of course, everybody's been really looking forward to the iPhone 12. And there have been rumors that the iPhone 12 may not be brought up on the announcement due to, we're in the middle of COVID, so parts. U.S. had this little tete-a-tete going with China, so we'll see. But I'm hoping that an iPhone 12 is announced, at least, even if we don't get it until October or sometime. Because that's one of the other rumors is that there'll be a second Apple event later in October that is solely for the iPhone. So those are my guesses based on
feature functionality perspective, right? So Tallboy, you've got the LG phone, right? With the dual screen,
right?
Apple's talking about adding some different connectivity into their devices, right? Again, these are just rumors, again, and we're always looking at, I say we, Apple's always looking at new advancements from the camera perspective, right? Who uses their phone to actually make phone calls? Nobody, right? It's all about taking pictures, throwing them on social, making that easier to share. So I think that's always going to be a big push in terms of the ease of use and functionality integrated into the Apple device. Terrance, do you ever think that Apple will do something like that LG and have a dual screen type of foldable phone?
Eventually, simply because there's only so much you can do with a smartphone now. You can only make it so thin. You can only make it so flat. You can only use certain materials, whether it be glass, whether it be aluminum, whether it be stainless steel. So there has to be another dimension added to a smartphone to spark new interests. LG, like you mentioned, is playing around with some things. Samsung is playing around with some things. Microsoft announced their device to where that is a new dimension to a relatively, run-of-the-mill device. So of course, smartphones are not run-of-the-mill in any stretch of imagination, but as far as the design look, they're bricks with a screen on it, right? So they have to do something to spark new interest. I can't think of another thing that they can do to a smartphone outside of adding another screen and adding some functionality or some function of folding, to add more screen real estate to the device. Of course, Samsung, LG, some of the others I mentioned have jumped the gun, got out there first. Apple traditionally has kind of held back. You can see the perfect example with like 5G. 5G devices have been out for over a year. Apple has kind of hung back. Rumors are September 15th is no announcement, going to announce 5G on the devices, but that is after some of the other manufacturers, some other brands have jumped on it. Folding devices will probably be the same thing. Apple will hold back, see what people are doing, see what's working, see what flops, and put their own spin on it. And all of us Apple fans are going to be like, "Oh, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread."
Gotta have it.
While the LG people will be like, "Yo, we've had that for like a year and a half. What y'all tripping about?"
Yeah. Look at him up there. Look at Corey up there. So so is your phone 5G? Is that LG a 5G phone?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do you have 5G connectivity in your area?
Yes, I do. I live in downtown Atlanta.
Okay. Well, see that. Terrance and Nica, they right there off of Peach Street somewhere. I know Peach Street because it's all over the place, right?
Something with
there are lots of Peach Streets.
Yeah, you off of Peach Street, some kind of house.
Are y'all Fulton County, DeKalb County, Cobb County, Clayton County, or you City of Atlanta? Well, now, which one?
I'm OTP, homie. I'm Cobb County.
Yes, sir. Listen at him. Mm-hmm. We out.
I'm DeKalb.
Yeah,
I'm right on the border of Atlanta. So
she's from the east side, and he's
I'm north. I'm north. North Atlanta.
He's north. Yeah, he's not even top of the perimeter. He's in the in the snobby area.
Oh, there we go. It's all good,
Hey,
man.
don't feel bad. My girlfriend lives in Marietta, so I have to come out there with my hands on 10 and 2. So no hard feelings.
You know what time it is.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask. I've seen, and I'll ask you this specific, Terrance. I've seen you over the years. Now, are you planning on whatever they announce? New mobile device. Are we upgrading, irregardless of what it is? That's just kind of again built into our mentality since the early devices, and now we're at 12.
Well, so it used to be built into my mentality.
Okay.
Now I'm at the mode to where I legitimately skip a generation or two.
Okay.
So this go around is my turn to upgrade everything. I.e., so when the newest generation of Apple Watch comes out, it'll be my turn because I skipped the generation 5. Normally I wouldn't do that. Now I've kind of grown and evolved to where it's like, look, I don't need it that bad as much as I may want it. I don't need it that bad. So as a middle ground, I won't get it every year. I'll skip a generation. So I don't have the 5. I've got the 4.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna get the 6. So with it, in this upcoming announcement, the iPhone may not be announced, but whenever they announce the iPhone 12, I'll get it because I've got the 10X Max. So I skipped the iPhone 11.
Okay.
So it's my turn, quote unquote, to get the iPhone 12. So I'll order it sight unseen simply because I skipped the previous generation.
All right. Daddy needs some new shoes too. That's pretty much what you're saying. Now, I also noticed.
Hold on. What about Nica? Hold on. What about Nica?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm of the cloth that if I like it, I'll go ahead and get it. And if it's something I want, so for the Apple Watch, I have like 1, 3, and 4. So I didn't get 5. And for the iPhone, I'm still on the iPhone 10 because I was waiting for 5G. So I skipped the 10S and I skipped the 11. And so I'm pretty much on edge. My pay finger is ready for when the iPhone 12 drops. So
at midnight,
definitely.
You're gonna be right there with us at midnight.
Yeah.
I'll be there to do it.
Can I ask y'all a question? And I think this is. And this is really Android or iOS. Are you guys more phone fans, or are you really more like tablets and accessories?
So I'm
all about the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, and I'm phone wise because I hope we get to a point to where everything is on our phone, i.e. our car keys, i.e. our license, i.e. our medical insurance cards, anything that I would normally put in a wallet. We're already putting cash on the phones. We're already paying for things on our phones. So I think a smartphone eventually will be the center of our digital universe. And what we'll do is we'll use our phone, like I mentioned, pay for things, daily transactions, we'll do work. And even I envision when we come home, we will simply dock our devices into a system to then it be our TV. We'll dock it into a system or something, and it'll be our gaming platform. We'll dock it into it'll when we come home, our house will start to light up and respond to the devices, sort of like they do now, but not that. But going forward, it'd be more widespread to where most of our house functions, whether it be turning on the oven and setting the alarm, some of the things we kind of do now, but more entwined in our device, more integrated, to where we'll not need as many devices. So right now I've got my phone, I've got my iPad, I've got my laptop behind me, I've got my Xbox, I've got a TV behind me. Eventually those will just be vessels or accessories. They'll be accessories like you mentioned, but the main brains to everything will be in my device, and I'm just merely just going to the different devices and it being the brains of everything, to where I necessarily don't need all this technology. I just need a input output, but this be the brains.
Yeah.
Nica?
And we're already really headed in that direction, with the exception that, right, like as Terrance mentioned, your driver's license or your passport or your or your insurance card. You have apps that have all of those things, but going forward, I see all of those things being native in the app where you don't have to open up, your Blue Cross Blue Shield app, or you don't have to open up your Delta app to scan your boarding pass. I think it's going to get to the point where everything is just going to be natively available without having to have all these different apps to do all these different things.
Well, I was looking at your show last week, and you guys were talking about digital wallets on public transportation, and I know that I heard you mention that they're doing that in the DC metro area. I know the MARTA transportation system is a little bit behind compared to some of the.
Yeah, it is. I've been on it too. Yeah.
Compared to some of the other major metro cities, but even abroad, they have that digital. They were already doing this already in other countries where you could just literally just tap your phone and you can reload as well, and you just be able to go to and from work because they see this is your lifeline. Back in the day when I was younger, you knew everybody's phone number by heart. Now, if you get stopped by the police, you need this. If they take it from you, what are you going to do? So we're living in that age where that digital wallet, or it's everything, like you said. So we're already having the apps, but it's not necessarily. Maybe we can go away from the apps and it'll be already built into the phone, shall we say? Whether it's LG, Samsung, Nokia, or Apple.
You had a hard time getting that last one out, didn't you?
Headed that way. And you can really, New York, their subway system has the same type of Samsung Apple Pay as well for their subway trains. Even if you go now, you can see it when you go to like Target or somewhere. You can just tap your phone on the pay system, so you don't necessarily have to type in anything. So it's definitely headed in that direction, and especially with what's going on with COVID. I think that we'll definitely steer towards more wireless, hands-free, minimal type of interfaces that we have to deal with daily. So
where they're doing it now,
that's definitely.
They're doing it now because I went to a restaurant, a Chipotle fast food restaurant, and they won't even take cash in the Midtown area anymore. You literally have to download their app and pay for everything online. And I think due to COVID, everything is going to that online method. Went to another restaurant and we gave them cash and we didn't even get our change back. And it was like, hey, that's a whole 75 cents. Like, where's our change? So I literally told my girlfriend, I just said, that's it. You know what? Moving forward, we give people cash, but then when we go to establishments, we just take it off of our debit card, or you just take it off of your Cash App or PayPal if they have.
And I don't even give people cash. Look, if you want money from me, you better take it the way I give it to you. So if I tell you need this app, if you want my money, you better figure out how to get it.
There it is right there. That's what I was waiting for. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Let me pivot just a little bit, because we've already touched on COVID and how that's kind of changing perception and kind of changing our actions. And something that has come up in society, in entertainment due to COVID, is the whole versus mentality. Versus what I want to call it, ecosystem, entertainment forum, right?
One series.
Yeah, series, right? And trying to find the right synonym there, right, for it. What do you think about that, right? Again, folks utilizing technology to still push out content, entertainment to people. Again, we've all said this already, we live on these mobile devices. They're being streamed by default to Instagram Live. Now they've got that great contract with Apple, so now you can stream them to Apple Music. But you've got one great artist against another great artist showing their catalog, and Versus has really become a mainstay, I think, right, from an entertainment perspective, and it only happened because of COVID.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I'll kind of take it back even a little bit before that. record labels really had a hold on artists as to how they could put out music, when they could put out music, and more importantly, how they can get paid off of their music, right? To where, you know, you've heard stories about major artists like TLC, like Tony Braxton, you know, some other ones, to where they were multi-million, you know, tracks or albums sold, multi-Grammys, multi-awards, but they were essentially broke. That's because the record label had a hold on how they could put out their information, to where recently, artists have started to go independent, to where they're less relied on their label, and how they made their money was going on tour. So they will put out an album, go independent, put out an album essentially for free. You know, don't have that signing bonus from the label. They gave them $1 million, didn't have any sort of recording budget to make videos or whatever. They put out the art, the content, and then go on tour. That's how they make their money. Well, fast forward to COVID, ain't nobody going on tour no more because locked everything down. So how can artists figure out, and not just, you know, entertainers, you know, we're talking DJs, we're talking gamers, we're talking all these different people, you know, how can I still create content? How can I still make money in the COVID era, to where people are at home? Well, if you're at home, people are itching for content still. So they're going to Twitch, they're going to Instagram, they're going to, you know, we'll talk about it a little bit later, all these streaming networks, right? So Instagram was a prime example to where people go on there, not just to consume content, but to actually create content. So Swizz Beatz and Timbaland, some of our more popular producers, I don't know if it was by design, I don't know if it was just playing around, but they've previously done kind of like these battles amongst themselves. I can remember Swizz Beatz going against Timbaland, going against some of these other artists. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it was by design. I don't know if this is the grand scheme, or they were just playing around and said, well, let's take some of our favorite artists and put their catalogs up and see in the beginning who's the winner. But then it kind of evolved into just a celebration of music.
Yeah. Nica, I'll let you interject as well, because it kind of took a weird turn with Teddy Riley, because Brother Telly, you know, he tried to do too much. Like he tried to just keep it plain, keep it simple, but he bought everybody. He bought the dancers. He bought the whole band. Had a DJ. Now the last one, Monica against Brandy, that was nice.
Brandy.
This next one that's coming up is old school though. Who is it? It's not Shalimar.
And Gladys Knight.
Patty. Come on, Patti LaBelle. You know we tuning in for that. So Nick, what are your thoughts on this? Again, I mean, this whole how it's evolved and into now where you've got giants like a Patti LaBelle and the Gladys Knight. You know, these types of folks that are participating in this.
Right. So it all started out as fun. You know, we're all locked in. Let's do something to entertain ourselves. To now a full-fledged business. They've changed the model, and essentially it's evolved from, you know, two guys in their house, you know, through their iPhone or through their laptop, you know, just playing their catalog or battling back and forth, to now you have full-scale productions. You have now people being in the same room. And I think that takes a lot of the issues that we were seeing earlier. For instance, even after Teddy Riley, we had Jagged Edge and 112. I mean, that was just a mess.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
The same thing with Nelly and I think Luda. But Ludacris had a whole studio where he had his setup. I think Nelly was just like kind of, you know,
he was out there. He was out there on the corner somewhere. Yeah, he was.
Right. So I think what we've learned from this is that it has grown from something simple on Instagram to a full-fledged, thought-out, viable business. Yeah. So now you have Ciroc being a sponsor. You mentioned Apple before, so you can stream it on Apple Music. At one point, you could stream it from Apple TV. So what I think the lesson is that the best way to get the highest quality from this is you're going to have folks in the same room. And I think even at one point, Swizz Beatz and Timbaland started sending out media kits and setup kits do this, do that. And as we saw with Teddy, he didn't follow the kit. So it kind of went, a little bit, off the rails. So I think that's one way that they are controlling the way the content looks, because now when things were happening, the audio would go out. People like Swiss or Tim, like, what's going on? What's going on with y'all's platform? And it was affecting their reputation personally, because they are both, well-known, known for producing excellence. We all listen to their music, and when it was one of those things where it was like, hey, this is now a real thing. We're getting hundreds of thousands, even millions of eyes on our product. So we have to ensure that we are putting out a quality product that's going to reflect well on us. So I think that's the biggest lesson learned from them. And we get to reap the benefits, because it's benefits.
That's true. We win, right? Either way, we win when we see these artists. And Corey, I want you to chime in as well, but then I want to ask you a subsequent question kind of along these lines.
Okay, so I totally disagree with everything that you guys are saying.
What? No, I'm gonna just kick you off video, brother. You know what? You was the doubting Thomas in the room.
I like to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Roland Martin.
And the devil don't even know
how. He said he gonna be the Roland Martin.
No. Listen, Roland Martin was trying to tell Swiss Beats and Timbaland something, but they didn't listen. And this is no knock on them. That was just a personal decision that they made. We as African Americans, we control the music, we control the culture, we control the style, we control the shoe culture, we control everything that goes on. And the mistake that the mistake that excuse me, I'm sorry, I just got a phone call. So I had the phone on vibrate. The mistake that we made is we used the Instagram platform. Why did you not, as a multimillionaire, create a versus.com website, set you up an RTMP feed, go get you a CDN, and then drive everybody to this website? But instead, you sent everybody to Instagram. And when you sent them to Instagram, who makes that money? We don't make any money. You could have sold your CD, you could have sold your T-shirts, or your you could have sold product on the site. But instead, you allow Instagram, who then in turn got people to sign up, which is a product of Facebook. Then it's like, okay, which is great, but Patti LaBelle got followers, Timbaland got followers, Snoop got followers, and the last one that we saw was 1.2 million or something like that. You could have brought all those sponsors to VersusTV.com, and then you could have monetized it that way. But we don't own that.
Well, so not to disagree, but Timbaland, Swiss Beats has been doing this Versus thing long before it was called Versus. I can remember him doing things with Swiss Beats versus Just Blaze. He did it with Timbaland. I don't want to say Dr. Dre. He did it with some high end producers. So when the COVID thing hit, I don't think to Roland Martin's points, I don't think they thought that far out. I think the ideal was people are bored, and not just viewers. I'm talking about artists. We're bored. Yeah. They didn't have anything to do. People are already on Instagram. So there is something to come where the people are, right?
But
it was just, I know where you're going. And again, it can still go there. Even though they've signed on with Ciroc, even though they've signed on with Apple Music, it's nothing. Now that the platform has been proven, and it's been proven because Instagram, because Apple Music has jumped on and doled out a lot of money, and we don't have to front anything, right? So that there's some benefit into coming where people are, and us not having to come out with some money, because they still had to prove the platform. I don't know if people are willing to shell out $5-6 a month to go to Versus TV to do this whole Versus battle back when it was whomever started it or whoever did it first. Now that it's proven, they can still do their own thing in all the ways that you said, and now they have a better opportunity, a possibility or probability that people will actually follow and leave an Instagram, leave an Apple Music to join another platform, and then possibly pay for that to get that thing rolling to where now we control from front to back.
Okay,
that's
so
interesting
perspective. All I'm saying, and then I'm going to go to my next point about Teddy Riley. All I'm saying is you could have had a VersusTV.com, and put up a media player and have it built out. These Timbaland and Swiss, they're multi-millionaires. So you're telling me a $1,000 website with massive bandwidth with a CDN to reroute, and you say, I'm going to give you this free content, and then you can still, you would have made money just off of just the product alone.
True, so, but you know how they say in business, why do it with my money when I can do it with somebody else's? There's a benefit to that. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong.
So that's no different from Luke. That's no different from Luke signing or Master P being independent versus, say, somebody who signed to a record label. They got that upfront money, shall we say? But guess what? Luke and Master P owns their masters, and they'll be millionaires and billionaires for the rest of their life.
And there's a learning lesson, and they can still grow for there.
And Roland Martin told them when it first happened after the Teddy Riley, he told them, don't go on Instagram. You should start your own, and they just didn't listen.
Right.
Now with the Teddy Riley point,
well, I don't think they didn't listen. Hold on one second. I don't think they didn't listen. I think one of the things that we always have to keep in mind, the verses that we started with to the verses that we have now, would we have been able to get to those from point A to point B had they went ahead and created their own platform? And I don't think it's as simple as creating the website and building it out. Because hold on one second. Because what I'm saying is you had the people, again, like you mentioned, we're all locked in, everyone was bored. The way that this thing moved, how fast it moved, I don't know if they would have been able to churn out a solid enough product for Black people to pay their money on something based on what they had previously seen. You're going to be hard pressed to get people to say, based on the quality that I've already seen, to go to another website. And again, you already have built-in audience, you already have built-in bandwidth. So now that it is what it is now, as Terrance was mentioning, you can now you'll take that audience with you wherever you go because it's branded perfectly. They handle the marketing and branding, and for me, that's more key in some instances than the actual interface. Because if you have people that have bought in, they're locked in, they will follow you wherever you'll go. And it's been proven because you could see it. First, you could only see it on Instagram. Then people followed it over to Apple TV. Then people followed it over to Apple Music. So if you have a quality product, which they've shown based on where it started, where it wasn't not so great, to now you have full-blown productions, I think if they, wherever they want to go, if they do want to take it offline, if they do want to take it to another, venue or site or create their own, they can do that now and have a solid footing and backing of not only, the public, but these artists who, their time is valuable and they don't want to go out there looking crazy. So this will allow them to be able to present their music, I think for Brandy and Monica, they did it because they both had music coming out. So now it's a way that they can say, okay, we can't do concerts. We can't do promo like we normally do. Let's do a versus. Let's announce some new music. Let's play some new music. And even on Brandy and Monica, they did sell merch. They sold it for When We All Vote to help out there. So I think what Roland Martin had in mind in a perfect world would have been great. It's always good to own it and have it be yours and not go through someone else. But you also have to keep in mind where we are with COVID, where we are with people having access to different types of media and streaming capabilities. So I get what he's saying. I don't think that it was wrong for them to go the route that they went. It's the route that they chose. Could it have worked going the way that Roland? It could have. It could have. We don't know, and that's just the choice that they made. So now it's picking up where we are, and now getting the ownership. Now that we know that it's a valuable product and it's branded correctly.
Yeah.
And that's what you said.
We'll agree to disagree because we can look at a whole show in itself. I will say this about Teddy Riley. I think we clown him and we talk about him because he, we look at it and say, you try to do a whole production. But in all honesty, he really had something. And if he would have pulled that off, that would have really set the tone moving forward had he pulled what he was trying to do off. Erykah Badu did it. but she just, hers was much more flawlessly. And then I think she sold her tickets for $1, and she did it on her website. So this is no different from what the Versus series is. And you're telling me that as artists, just saying as artists, you have Ice Cube or Snoop or Master P can go live and say, go to this website, and you're going to get minimum 25 to 50,000 people that will go over to wherever they say, meet me right now. This is where I'm going to be at. So I just think that Teddy Riley had something. It's just that he just did not have it lined up. But if he would have did it, it would have been genius. What Erykah Badu did, she made $1 million or $100,000 in one night off of $1 ticket sales. So if, like I said, if you don't see it from my point of view, I get it. But I just look at it as we just turned around and gave Instagram, which is Facebook, all of this money when that could have been Swiss Beats and Timberlands. That could have been all of them, and we could have been championing them, saying, Black America, we got us a win. We're still winning because Versus is awesome.
I don't think we're disagreeing with the concept or the premise. I definitely agree that it would have been great if they had their own platform. But again, when you think about Erykah Badu, how far in the Versus battles were we? And she knew that she was going on to this platform, so she had enough time to build that out. But the ones that were in the earlier rounds, they didn't.
She was in the beginning when this happened.
And even if she got 100,000 people to go over, they had, I think Jill Scott and Erykah Badu's had 1 million people. If all 100 million, even if all 500,000 went over there, would her bandwidth would have been able to sustain everybody picking up and migrating over, or would it completely slow her system down? So we don't know what the guts or the back end was on her system. Did she account for that or did she not? So I won't say I'm disagreeing with you. I'm wholeheartedly agreeing that it would have been great to have their own, environment to do this in. It's just not what it was. That's just not what they had. And I think they were doing the best that they could with what they had.
Yeah. And so
it's free 99.
Free 99. So obviously there's relevance in this conversation, right? Because it's relevant for the culture. It's relevant for folks who are fans of music, fans of whatever genre of music, whoever Tim and Swiss go with next, right? I mean, and the fact that we're talking about ownership, we're talking about accessibility, bandwidth, all of those kinds of things. Yeah, I would much rather give Monica couple of dollars than give Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think Zuckerberg needs it, even though I'm running ads right now on his platform. That's a whole nother story. But awesome conversation. And I think I want to go into another topic because I want to be cognizant of your guys' time. We had talked a little bit about live streaming services. Corey and I actually did a show not too long ago as well about the technology that we use to run the lab. We're using StreamYard. StreamYard works really well for the needs that we have, being able to just shoot you a link. Boom, you can get into the studio. You can log in with relatively not too many issues. You get your audio, you get your visual, you get your lighting taken care of, and boom, you're in. What are you guys using on the SnobOS podcast for your video and even for your podcast piece? What platform are you guys using for the podcast as well?
Yeah, sure. So StreamYard did not work for us.
Okay, and why? Tell me why it didn't work.
The video quality was terrible, and the delay was terrible. Like, again, I don't know what the difference is between how we were using it. Maybe we were using the free version and we hadn't upgraded yet. We were trying some different things out before we shelled out. I don't know. So we tried OBS, which is, a popular one for like gamers. There are some people who do broadcasting. I know it from the gamer from background. We tried StreamYard. We tried a couple of different ones, but then we landed.
We tried running it through Twitch.
Yeah, we tried to run it through Twitch. Ecamm worked off the bat, so that we tried it for like 2 episodes. It worked for us, so we went ahead and upgraded, and that's what we currently use now. As far as the podcast, we upload to our website, Squarespace, and that's where our website is.
Okay,
and and then that pushes out to Apple Podcasts, pushes out to Google Podcasts, pushes out to Spotify because we've linked the RSS feed to it.
So are these? Excuse me, I hate to cut you off, but are these? So are you pre-recording the show, or are you guys recording the show live and then uploading it to your website?
The latter. So we're recording it live. It goes to our YouTube live for our Patreon followers, supporters. Support the show.
Yeah, about to say, give it a little shout out. Give it a little shout out.
I ain't new at this, homie. Patreon.com/SnobOS cast if you want to be a supporter. So we record live. It automatically goes to YouTube. Then we take that video. We take the video, we strip out the audio, upload that to our website, and that pushes out to the podcast. We chop up the video a little bit more, and we put it on YouTube around the same time that the podcast goes live. And we just throw up a, like I said, a basic, blog post about what the episode is about, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Now, I've tried Ecamm. I actually just ended a trial with Ecamm. Tallboy, I know you use OBS, and look, as far you've used OBS, you're familiar with OBS.
I've never used.
Okay.
I use XSplit.
Okay, but all of those different so I tried OBS. It was just more complex than I wanted it to be. Right. Yeah. I wanted something very easy, very straightforward for guests. That was my whole idea. Right. Make it easy for guests, and I did upgrade to the StreamYard Pro, so that's why I can go out at 1080p. So I went ahead and put a little extra skin in the game right up front.
But let me ask you this question: Did the 1080p just released on StreamYard within the last 60 days or the last 30 days? Correct?
Yeah, it's very very recently. Correct. Yeah, up until then, I was going out only at 720, but it's still decent. But yeah. As far as the podcast goes, so this show, and all the other shows in the ITN network will stream to Facebook, our brand pages, Twitch, YouTube, infotainmentnews.net. Depending on the content, I'll stream to LinkedIn Live as well, because I've been authorized to stream to LinkedIn Live, so I go there. After the shows, I pull down the audio and I upload those to Anchor. And through Anchor, syndicated to all the podcast networks, so to the Google and to Apple and Spotify and all of that. So kind of the same type of dynamic. Ecamm is nice. I do like it, and I think it's if I ever decide to go to a different level to where I want to have multi-cameras, I think that's my whole thing. If I decide I want to have multi-camera angles and stuff like that, that's when I'll probably go up to Ecamm. If Streamlabs, there he go. If StreamYard doesn't add that, but honestly, right now, and just check them out, man. Give them another look in terms of ease and functionality. Again, I sent you guys the link tonight, and pretty straightforward for inviting guests. But now Ecamm, you can invite folks on through Skype as well, right?
That's how we do it. We use Skype.
Ooh, that's nice. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. That's what's up, right? Because I really would like to be able to, even for folks who don't want to be on screen, right? I mean, just be able to have them call in and have kind of just that voice on behind the scenes. So, okay. And so Corey, you're Wirecast. You're talk to us a little bit about the technology that you use, because the Try It with Tammy show that you run, that's a huge production, I think.
So I'm using similar to what I would say is the middle tier. OBS is the free open broadcast service that everyone uses. I think the industry standard, when you're talking about live streaming was kind of really geared more for PC owners, and then Mac wanted to get in the game, and I think Ecamm came along about 2 or 3 years ago. Don't quote me on that. But they came along, and but for what I use a second tier, which is really more for gamers. It's called XSplit. And so with XSplit, they have a Gamecaster and then they have a broadcaster version. So I use the broadcast version, and then I can build out my scenes. I can upload media. I can shoot out to multiple platforms, whether it's Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, or a custom RTMP feed, which is like a website for the ones that are not familiar that are watching the show. And then I just jumped onto Restream to take some of that bandwidth off of my laptop. And I'm looking at today, I was looking at a service called caster.io, which is a little bit cheaper than Restream. But with the two shows that I produce, like you said, it's a full scale production. We have overlays, custom built overlays with their display boxes for one guest, two guests, or, it doesn't necessarily have to be guests. It could be media and yourself, or whatever the case may be, whether it's a JPEG or an MP4. And we have the boxes sized out to fit the dimensions that we want. And from there, that's pretty much it. So,
okay. I like the fact that you have multiple camera angles, right? So you give that option. So you've got your DSLR or your mirrorless, and maybe that GoPro over Tammy while she's cooking, which is really nice.
Right. So I use a Canon for her show. I use a Canon. I use a Sony A6400. I use a overhead. It's not a GoPro, but it's an action cam, which does not have a clean HDMI out. So I have to cut out the layout, which it allows you to resize inside of XSplit. And then also I have a Sony A5100. So those are the four cameras, and then I pulled all that into the A10 Mini, and it allows me to switch. Now, with the show that I produced earlier today, The Untold Stories of Solar, instead of using Skype or using Zoom, we use another service called Whereby, then I just have them from all over the world. As long as I give you a link, it brings you right into the room. You're having a conversation like as if it's Zoom, and they're using those overlays, but you have to have a second monitor to be able to see what I'm doing, because right now it's no different from a Zoom call. What you're seeing is it's a Zoom call, but the only difference is with Zoom, you see that little yellow or gold box pop up every time there's some type of movement, whereas with this service Whereby, you don't see that at all. So you can have, for the free version, 4 guests. And then if you pay for the paid version, which is $10 a month, I think you can have up to 10 guests. So with the overlays built out, you just have to get your overlays taken care of, and you can do whatever you want. And so for me, XSplit works great for me. It gives me that full broadcast television production that, I would want to see, as opposed to just a standard, and no knock against StreamYard, it's a web-based service, whereas Ecamm, XSplit, OBS, and vMix, they're all downloadable softwares to where you can build out your production the way you want.
Yeah. And maybe that's the problem we were having. StreamYard, it's web-based versus Ecamm does run off our computers. But all that other stuff you said, Tall Boy, look, I'm a techie, but I ain't into all that. By the time we get there, I'll have a producer do all that. So
I just want to hit go live and we live. That's all.
But that's what I'm doing for that show that I just came off of. I mean, they literally just sit, and just like you guys do your show, and they just send me the pictures, they send me the videos that they want, and they'll tell me when they want it to run. And as soon as you say Harriet Tubman, I'll have a picture pop up on the screen that says Harriet Tubman. I know you didn't look down at your shirt.
Yes, he did. He wanted to make sure it was spelled right.
You make sure it wasn't all Frenched up over here.
You see, I'm rocking my famous, famous enough too. I'm trying to represent a little bit, but that's a good conversation, right? Because I guess, and I'll sum it up in this: that there's a platform for everyone. If there's any blessing of COVID, it's that some folks have been able to really put some skin in the game and to bear down if they're trying to do a live streaming offering. It's something to the sort of what all four of us are doing. And that's going to help me as well get out of just writing text on the site, but doing more video and doing more of a show as well. So, the Ecams, the Wirecast, the XSplits, the OBS, the StreamYards, whatever the case may be, you can pay nothing or you can pay couple of $100, but you can have a quality deliverable to your audience. So
just think of it like this: before COVID-19, the live streaming community was not respected. It was like, oh, that's cool, that's nice, but we'll get around to it, we'll check it out. But then the second the world shut down, it was, how do we still be able to survive? How do our kids still go to school? How do we keep business running? And I think when you look at Microsoft Teams and you look at Zoom and you look at some of those other web conferencing services, that was the go-to thing, because Skype was the granddaddy of them all. When Oprah made that big announcement back in 2006, I would like to say, about Skype took off. And now from 2006 to where we are now in 2020, Zoom isn't even 5 years old, I don't believe. And they're now the new thing. And you're seeing all these security issues. And I've tried to tell people, they do what they want, not deal with Zoom, but there's other services that are just as good, or if not better. But because it's Nike, it's the Nike of web conferencing, everyone wants to buy a pair of Nikes. Do you want to be the Chuck Taylors? Do you want to be the Adidas? Do you want to be the Reebok? You have to go out there and go do your research. But COVID-19 has allowed people to give more respect to live streaming and say, you know what, this is how I can survive. And then for the culture aspect of it, the artists are now more willing to do interviews with bloggers or with people, just to be able to stay relevant, or just to be able to just have something to do. So live streaming has been able to open up interviews that you probably would not have been able to do.
Yeah. Y'all see how we bend it and flex and bring it in a little SnobOS. We talking about the culture. Yeah, you see, we do our homework around here. Well, somebody better recognize it. It's just not a game right here over here on the lab, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring up one last topic again. I want to be cognizant of time, and we had started talking a little bit about. I think it all kind of culminates into some of the things we've talked about already. We're stuck at home, can't go anywhere. Some places are just now starting to open up, but you know what? I'm staying home, wearing my mask all day, every day. How you're accessing entertainment, streaming services? Is anyone cutting the cord? Right? What's it like? Are you Netflixing and chilling all day, every day? Are you taking advantage of Hulu, Amazon Prime, Sling? What are you guys seeing from the folks in your circle, and what do you use? I'll start with you, Nica. Have you cut the cord completely? And if so, and if not, what services do you primarily use?
I'm very corded in. I still have the cord, but I also have all the other. I have Hulu, I have Amazon Prime, I have Disney Plus, I have Netflix. So I have all the streaming, services as well, because I like to be entertained and I like my options. So I use AT&T. I have their Uverse, and I also, like I said, I mentioned, I use pretty much all of the other streaming platforms as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Terrance, what about you, man?
I cut the cord. I've got what is it? YouTube TV is what I use for basic channel surfing rather, and then I use Netflix is what the kids love. And then I'll, use Apple TV when I can, when there's something interesting. But most of it is just a combination of YouTube TV and Netflix. And, we also have Disney Plus, but we use that every once in a while.
Do you have a DVR option? And so that was one of my concerns with some of those products, because, we like to record and watch it at a later particular time. Does YouTube TV have a DVR?
Yes. YouTube TV has it. Sling has it. Hulu TV has it as well. Hulu also has a live streaming service. Most people know of Hulu as the on demand or watch it a day after it aired on TV. Hulu also has Hulu.tv, which is the live version. I think they have cloud DVR, so I don't have a physical device. It's all cloud based, but it is DVR to where I can favorite a show. It'll record all the new shows. It'll delete stuff off if I haven't watched it, or if it needs to make more room, just like a traditional DVR.
Yeah, okay. I've been really trying to figure out, because I've got Xfinity, and we've got every channel underneath the sun. We don't watch them all, but I'm just National Geographic, and I watch my Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe and my Life Below Zero. You know, and those are the shows that I watch. I'm kind of a science channel kind of guy. I try to stay away from the news nowadays because I don't want to get angry.
But don't be surprised, because a lot of people originally cut the cord because of the statement that you made, and the fact that I got all these shows or all these channels that I pay for that I don't watch. Streaming TV ain't no different. There's a lot you pay for. Okay. It's almost, I'd say almost price comparable to what you would pay to have like a Uverse or to have like an Xfinity or whatever the case may be, because once you add up the cost of Netflix, once you add up the cost of renting movies like off of Apple TV or iTunes, once you add up the cost of your Hulu.tv or YouTube TV or Sling, once you add all those up, it's damn near close to what you're paying in cable right now. So don't think that, okay, I can cut the cord and just pay for National Geographic, because you got to pay for YouTube TV, and you're going to get Nickelodeon. If I don't know how old your kids are, but you're going to get Nickelodeon. You're going to get Disney. You can't pick and choose like you used to when people first started cutting the cord. So I looked at cutting the cord as a way to get rid of another box under my TV. So I don't need a cable box. All I need is a gateway/router, and then I can go out to all my other devices, whatever the case may be, and just look at it as this is the new wave. Don't necessarily look at it as a cost savings. It's almost comparable. And don't look at it as I'm going to cut down on some of these channels that I don't watch, because you're going to get the same thing through streaming.
That's the first time I've heard, and I've asked this question for years. So the TV behind me is a Roku TV, and it's tied into my Xfinity, and I don't have a physical box behind it. But the fact that it's not necessarily cost conscious, but it's more of a convenience.
It's more of a convenience. Now you save a little bit, but it ain't like, oh, I saved $500 just by cutting the cord. No, you'll save maybe $30, and that's on you if that's enough to go through all the switching and getting boxes. We'll do whatever you got to do to cut the cord. If $50 is enough, then do it. But don't think you're going to save all this extra money like you used to when cutting the cord.
And that's my thing. It's convenience. I'll pay for convenience, and it's convenient to have a service. I don't have to go and
that's real. That's real.
And move on. I just want to turn it on and see what I want to see. So for me, just having to do the research, having to disconnect, and then having to figure out the best way to get my local channels, because I do want to see the local stuff, how to get, my different streaming services all combined. It's a lot. Yeah. And I have like Samsung TVs, but still it's easier just to have a cable box, and I'm willing to pay for that convenience. So
that's all good. Corey, what are you using, man?
I got the homeboy hookup.
Oh, there he go. There you go.
So I cut the cord years
ago. Straight from the streets, boy. You straight from the streets.
Yeah, I cut the cord. No, because I travel. And so because I travel abroad, I'm not at home, for a significant amount of time. So for me, why am I paying that? And back when I used to play ball overseas, Sling TV, when it first came out, it was a viable option for me when I was overseas. So it was, hey, as long as Brother Tech got an extra room and I buy this Sling box, and let me just hook it up to the Atlanta. I can catch my Falcons games, I can catch my Hawks games, and I'm good to go. But then to Brother Tech's point, the streaming services, the price points have just raised within the last 2 years. Amazon just went up on their pricing to $120 as opposed to what it was at $79. You got to think Netflix was, back in the day, it was $5.99 or $7.99, and now you're almost paying $14.99, if not more, for Netflix. And then now Disney just jumped in the game last year, and they say that this is how much they're charging per month. So now between my girlfriend, my brother, and myself, it's you pick your two, I pick my two, and she picks her two. And you know what? We're going to share, because somebody might want something on Stars. Somebody might want P-Valley. Somebody else might want, something. Want Beyonce's play on Disney Plus. Personally, I don't care. I only want to catch 1 or 2 episodes because I'm not really a big TV watcher. I'm a content creator. But for them, it's, well, since I got Amazon Prime, you got Prime Video. Well, since I have HBO, you can watch, this show over here. Well, you know what? I want to watch that over there. So you can get my password. You can get, I hope.
See that right there? The police cut him off right there. Yeah, they got him. They came and got him right there. I'm talking about giving out passwords. Yeah. The man came and got him. I'm gonna leave him. I'm gonna leave him frozen right there. Oh, see? Yeah.
Come take my phone. I don't care, but I'm gonna find a way with my LG V60. So
it's all good.
As you see, the next message that's the next message. That's my girlfriend that made that comment. That's why.
That's why you get a group of people.
Yeah, you get a group of people, and you all buy in, and you just are responsible for your two. So then now it's like, all right, you're just responsible for your local channels, as Nica said, because I still want to catch the news. So we're now living in a society where people aren't watching TV, but when we saw military tanks on Peachtree Street and Marietta Street here in Atlanta. I wanted to see the news, and I believe it or not, 11 Alive had a live streaming on YouTube, and they were giving you the same news content that was on TV, but when they went off at 11 o'clock, they were able to still stay on because they had the live view solo, and they were able to still go live. So for me, cutting the cord, I got rid of that back ago.
In the day. No worries. That's all good. I'll get there, but I think I got some youngsters that still.
You still got kids, man.
I still got some youngsters. They beyond the Nickelodeon age, but they still watch whatever they watch. I got my daughter hooked on old school Good Times and Moesha right now. Now the Brandy's coming back, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Now let me ask you this: Are you not only paying for cable, but are you paying for premium channels as well?
No, the premium channels, no. The only one that I have is HBO because there was that show that The Rock had about football. What was that?
Ballers.
I had to have my Ballers. And I still have it now because I want to watch Hard Knocks. But they Xfinity hooked me up with a long-term kind of deal where I'm not paying for it just yet. So.
Yeah, I got all the premium channels. When I looked
they go over there. You need to invest in that AT&T stock too. And then you need to own that.
The thing is, when you look at the breakdown of the different tiers, it's not that big of a price difference between the tiers. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll save $40 or $50 if I get the 300 level package.
Yeah.
But if I get the 400 level package, I get all the premium channels and all the extra stuff. So sure, why not?
Why not? They got you. It's like buying at midnight off of QVC or something. I'll take that. I'll take it.
Why not?
Why not? I love it.
I can always change it if I want to. But like I said, I like variety, so I like to be able to watch a little bit of everything. So I need my options.
Got to do it.
Can we end before you end this show? I have one question for you because this was posed to me last week.
What's on your mind, brother?
And because this is Apple, it's only fitting. I had a cousin, his son, which is my second cousin, shall we say? I don't know how that works in the family, but he's in high school and he has a tablet, which is a Mac. And from my understanding, he called his dad and told his dad that he needed an Apple Pencil. And his dad does not know anything about technology. So he said, tell me any and everything you know about this. So I was out there Googling it, YouTubing it, and I gave him my best version of it. And he was kind of hesitant on spending $100 for a pencil. So one, is the pencil worth it? Is it worth $100? And what does it do?
Brother Tech?
Okay. So the important question is, why does he think he needs it?
Apparently, the school said that it was something that he needed. So I asked him, does he? I asked him, does he draw? and he said no. But I think it was something about taking down notes or something like that for class since we're doing the live stream. So that was what I got out of it. But I guess for the ones who may not know about $100, I guess my cousin was looking at it as, why am I paying $100 for a pencil? Can I go on Amazon and buy a non-proprietary pencil that's not? And I told him no. I said, do not. With Apple, if it was Android, I told him, feel free to do what you want. But with Apple, stay proprietary to Apple. You guys are the Apple people.
So the short answer is no. He doesn't need an Apple Pencil if he's not drawing, if he's not doing any sort of high-end sketching. Photoshop may have an app, whatever the case. Adobe may have some suites or whatever. If he's not using none of that, then no, he doesn't need a proprietary Apple Pencil. It's fly to have, but he doesn't need it. Now, can he use like a regular old stylus? He could get away with using a regular old stylus, but there are some other middle technologies between those cheapy stylus on this end and the high-end Apple Pencil on this end. Logitech makes a stylus that works better with an iPad than just the basic, $10-15 Amazon stylus. And I think that's like $35. I can't remember exactly the price point.
$35.
Yeah, it's $35. You use that for a kid because, my kids, they're 12 and 10 that are school age. And I haven't gotten them a pencil yet because simply their school they don't need, tablet stuff yet. But once they do, I'll get them the Logitech stylus that gives you much more functionality than a basic stylus. But I ain't got to spend $100 for no Apple Pencil. Now, I have an Apple Pencil because that's who I am, but do I need it? No, I don't need it when something like what you put on the screen, that Logitech, I think it's called a crayon. That's what it's called, a Logitech crayon. You can cut right in the middle, get you something that'll be fully functional, does what it needs to do. You're not paying that much money, but you get functionality.
Gotcha. Okay. So now with this pencil that we just saw on the screen, you won't be able to do the drawing, but you will still be able to take your notes. Is that correct?
You can still do drawing, but it just won't be as precise as an Apple Pencil. Now, again, if you need that precision because he's in a sketch class, he's in some sort of art class, and yes, get the Apple Pencil. You can still use that Logitech crayon to do sketching, to take notes. It just won't be as precise as an Apple Pencil. But if you're talking about some kid in middle school or high school, who cares?
Gotcha. Well, as Hit the Spot 1006 said, too late now.
Hey. She said it's too. Go on out and spend that big money. That's all. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Look here, Nica, Terrance. First of all, thank you guys again for taking the time to come and hang out with us in the lab. I hope it was enjoyable. I know we got this dissenting personality over here, but it's all real, it's all love, it's all, we're here just for the audience to make sure that we give straight shooting information. No one's bought or sold here, right? This is our opinions, our thoughts. We utilize all of this technology, and we're all saying how we feel and giving honest reviews, honest feedback, honest information. So at the end of the day, I just want to tell you guys again, thank you. And I will definitely in the show notes put links to not just your website here, but to your YouTube channel and to your individual social profiles as well, so folks can definitely check you guys out.
Now look, I was nice. I ended on Apple.
Oh my goodness.
Well, thanks for having us. We definitely appreciate you inviting us on, and we all have Apple dissenting folks in our life, so
we'll work with him. We'll work with him. We'll take care of him. He'll come around one of these days.
Right. And if he doesn't, that's okay too.
That's all right.
But yeah, it was great. I had a great time. So definitely thank you guys for having us on.
Awesome. Thank you. Y'all be good. Take care of yourselves now.
All right. Take it easy, man.
Bye.
Later now.